The views and opinions expressed in this podcast do not necessarily reflect the views or positions of ACUMA, its board of directors, its management staff, or its members. The podcast discussion presented is conversational in nature and for general information only.
This is ACUMA's On Point Podcast. On today's episode, we're sitting down with a friend of the pod, gaining her insights on being a first-time attendee at our annual conference and seeing what life has been like after ACUMAx. Before we get to our episode, just a quick word from our sponsor.
This episode is sponsored by Polygon Research. With Polygon Research, your credit union can finally see what's invisible today. Which lenders are winning in your markets, where you're underserving communities that need you, and exactly how much mortgage volume is slipping away. Every loan, every lender, every market you care about turned into a growth and fair lending playbook your team can actually use. Learn more at polygonresearch.com.
Hello, and welcome to ACUMA's On Point Podcast, a series focused on sharing the stories of people who are making a positive impact in the credit union mortgage industry. I'm your host, Peter Benjamin. Today, I am joined by Allie Hager, mortgage loan officer at Ohio Credit Union. Allie, long time no see. How are you doing? And welcome to the pod.
Hi, thank you so much for having me back on. This is so awesome. I have been doing well, busy. Thank you so much.
I'm glad to hear that. You know, I'm happy to sit down with you and happy to have you be really the first pod of the new year. It's, man, what a year 2025 was, right? And, you know, as we think about kicking off 2026 and really rolling into the rest of 2026, you know, here we are in the first 2 weeks. Love to gain your insights into, you know, obviously last year, but more importantly, obviously annual, ACUMAx, and really what life has been like afterward. So excited for this conversation, but as always, need to pause, need to take a step back, sidestep, whatever you want to call it. Bring Justin into the conversation. Justin, Hawk, how are you doing? And please tell me, what is the latest and greatest happening over at ACUMA?
Man, for a minute, I thought you were going to go with the whole last name, but that was different.
What do you mean the whole last name?
You said Justin Hawk instead of the Hawk.
It's Hawk for Rutherford is his full last name. We just call him Hawk.
I don't know who that is. All right. Well, thank God we're not playing trivia.
No, seriously. Let's go.
Anyways, over here at ACUMA, we are rocking and rolling. Here we are into the new year. So happy new year to all those out there listening. We're back at it. This is season 4 of our podcast. So I'm excited. With new year comes
4 seasons.
4 seasons, 4 years. I know, right? That's exciting. We are super generic with it. Just like January and December.
It's something. I tell you what.
It's been a roller coaster. It's been fun.
Yeah.
Except for the downhill. No, I'm kidding. And so with the new year comes new events. Registration's opening next week for our Viewpoint Regional Summits. So be sure to be on the lookout for that. Unlike years past, instead of having 1 Viewpoint Regional Summit, now we're going to have 3. So we're going to be in Dallas, Texas from March 24th and 25th, and then St. Louis, Missouri, April 14th and 15th, and Baltimore, Maryland, April 28th and 29th. If you remember from last year, we did our experiential learning in Pensacola. So this year we have some experiences planned. There's a honky tonk experience. You got to get your Western saying honky tonk. Right?
I mean, we are 100% getting cowboy hats. I'm just putting it out there.
I'm already trying to find some new boots. I'm not going to lie.
So, all right. So, I mean, instead of cowboy hats, we'll do boots. Can we get them ACUMA branded boots?
I'm not wearing ACUMA branded boots.
Come on, man.
It'd be like, okay. If we're going to do that, we got to get the rattleskin.
Done.
Yeah. Okay. There
Say
you go.
less. Say less.
But if you're not into the honky tonk and you don't want to come see us in Dallas and St. Louis, we're going to have a brewery experience at Anheuser-Busch. So that's really going to be cool. And then if you don't like the middle of the country and you really want to come to the East Coast, then Baltimore, Maryland's your home for that. And we're going to head over to another brewery experience. So
I'm sensing a theme in our planning.
I know, honky tonks and breweries. We're going line dancing, and
it's all about good times, man. It's all about good times. And for all, I'm actually shocked you didn't point this out, but both the O's and the Cardinals are home when we visit both cities. So
they are. I know. I've already looked at the schedule in St. Louis. You can't buy tickets for the seats yet because they're only selling the all-inclusive package for like $75. And I'm not.
What's the all-inclusive package?
I don't know. I quit reading at $75.
Come on, man.
Baseball game.
Come on, man. $75 all inclusive. It comes with unlimited alcohol and unlimited food and a hat.
I mean, that might be worth it because that's only 7 beers at Nats Park, like at $15 a beer.
Facts. Truth.
But if you're outside of our in-person events, we have our virtual events going on too. So today, our servicing network is holding their Q1 meeting. So be sure to check them out. And then in a couple of weeks, we'll have our marketing network quarterly meeting. And so head over to the ACUMA website to learn more, get registered for those events. For the servicing one, it's not too late. You can register almost up to the minute of the event. So, and then aside from all of those virtual events and in-person events, we also have our webinar series that are going on year round, along with our favorite On Point podcast.
That's right. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right, Allie, over to you or back to you. All right. So excited for our conversation. Man, has your star been rising? I tell you what, you have been everywhere on social media, which I love seeing. Love seeing good people kind of, get what's due to them, but also more importantly, it's always nice seeing a new credit union person elevated as high as you have been. So really excited to see that. And one, really congratulations. And obviously, this is not the first time you've been on the pod. I'm excited to have you back. First time around, I asked you my standard questions, and I don't want to portray the pod and the spirit of the pod by not asking you those questions. But we've already asked you that, and those questions really are, who is Allie? And then the last question is always like, what keeps you going? Mm-hmm. I'll save that last question, I think, because I think, we, as human beings, we evolve, we change depending on the situation, depending on, where we are in our lives, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So I'm not going to ask you the first one, but I am going to ask you the last one when we come to that point. But, since we last talked, give us a quick update on everything that's happened since we last talked. And at this point in time, it's been, Justin, she was season 2, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
On the podcast? Yeah. I think it was season 2. And if not, it was like early last year.
Yeah, I want to say it was February of 2024. Or 2025. I don't know what year.
Yeah, so it would have been early last year when we had her on.
There you go. Well, so here we are about, a year in. What has changed?
Yeah, it's actually so crazy to look back to the time last year that I first spoke with you guys versus now and what all has happened in between. And it has just been kind of mind-blowing. And it has been a lot thanks to you guys. So you gave me a lot of notoriety. So I'm so thankful for everything that you guys have done for me, for getting me onto the podcast and then getting to go to the ACUMA conference and getting to be part of ACUMAx and just all the cool things that I've gotten to do. And I was actually today telling someone on my team that I'm going to do your podcast. And he was like, "Oh, you're just becoming a regular with them, aren't you?" And I was like, "Well, I guess I am." But I look back to that time when I first spoke with you guys, and I was so nervous. I remember getting onto that podcast because I didn't know what to expect. I hadn't really spoken on a public forum from, the credit union world at any point at that point, but I knew that I had goals of wanting to start. And then today I have gotten in front of so many people and done so many webinars and podcasts And it is just so crazy what can change in a 12-month period.
No, I mean it's well deserved. We really do. Elevating good people, and if anything, your story of kind of being on different podcasts, being on different webinars, speaking at ACUMAx, that is the perfect example of what our original intent was.
Yeah.
When we started this podcast, we wanted to spotlight, highlight, whatever you want to frame it up as, the good people in the credit union industry, because I've said it once, I'll say it again. I would put a credit union person up against anyone else in the mortgage industry, and the credit union person's always going to come out ahead. And you're a great example of how we wanted to, highlight people and elevate them. And here you are. I mean, you've done amazing things. I love seeing your credit union almost embrace what you did over at ACUMAx. I mean, you presented it to your whole credit union. I love seeing that. I think you may have done it one or two other times.
Yeah.
But I mean, again, this is what it's about. This is why we do the On Point podcast. This is why we did ACUMAx. We want to provide this gateway for people to be successful, share their stories, but also really the last part is make that positive impact in our industry. And you're doing it. So thank you very much for doing that, and congratulations again.
Thank you so much.
Of course. Now, obviously coming down to, the main conversation of this podcast, 2025, man, what a year. I mean, I don't want to call this a year in review type episode, but I think it's kind of warranted, especially, coming from, your side. I mean, you've seen a lot of evolution in 2025. Of course, I want to get your take on 2026, but man, kind of just walk us through, 2025 and, your thoughts about what we experienced from an industry standpoint, your career, and really the second part of that is going to be, what are you really looking forward to in 2026? What do you hope to accomplish, et cetera? So let's have that conversation. And then, of course, we can focus on, your experience at ACUMAx in just a short bit. So 2025, like, kind of walk us through your thoughts on the year, take it however direction you want, but, I'd love to get your thoughts on it.
Yeah. So 2025, origination wise, was still a bit challenging just based on the housing market, the type of market that it was, rates, just the different challenges that people have been facing within the economy. And so I think that getting through the originating part of 2025 was very interesting, but we made it and we're better for it. I think it makes you stronger when you have to reach a little bit and it's not 2020 and you're not getting loans handed to you left and right because everyone and their mother is refinancing. So I would obviously love to be able to get back into a refinance market, but to be in a market where there's not really refinances happening and you have to change your entire structure and way that you approach business, that just makes you stronger. So I'm thankful for it. As far as the craziness that has happened with just public speaking and getting in front of people and being kind of a voice for the credit union, I don't think ever before, like I was at, my story, like I was at the credit union for 4 years. I left, I went to a big bank, I went to an IMB, I came back to the credit union. And when I was at the credit union for those 4 years, I was not realizing what a honeypot of a place that I was in until I left and I came back and then I realized how awesome a credit union is. And then I get to know all of these different ACUMA and these CUSOs and all of these things that are involved with a credit union, which I never would have known. And so then now I'm screaming from mountaintops how amazing it is to be a mortgage loan officer at a credit union specifically, and how we don't have to try to compete with an IMB or a big bank because we're set apart because we're at a credit union. And so being able to realize that this year and just really digging into what that looks like and just promoting credit unions and just being so proud to work at a credit union has been so eye-opening, and it's so fun. And I'm realizing how big of a world a credit union world is. Like the credit union movement is an actual true movement. And to be able to just like I'm just like in the very beginning stages of this. And so to be able to know what's coming and like how many people I can share this story with just makes me so excited.
No, I mean, I love that. I mean, it's, you have a great story, your decision to stay grounded or rooted and within the
Mhm.
credit union space, and obviously the success you've seen since that, and you're right. There's a lot that the credit union, I don't want to say, I guess, side of our industry, corner of our industry, has to offer to kind of really expand your knowledge, your network, your resources. And there is something special about credit unions. And I like how you framed it up that, hey, we're not really competing against, IMBs and bank. Really, they're trying to compete against us, right? And
Yeah.
I hate the frame it up that way, but it's true, right? We have something that's beautiful and something that's ours, and we just have to figure out a way as a credit union industry to leverage it.
Mhm.
If we can do that, we'll see success.
Yeah.
Now, obviously, coming back to you, I want to stick with 2025. Um, this was your first event first time attending an ACUMA annual. So, what are your thoughts? Like, how was that experience? So, ACUMA annual this year was in Denver at the convention center.
Mhm.
Your first experience, and it was a big to do as far as an event goes. It was the largest event we've ever put on. Um, I love the agenda, but I mean, I welcome your thoughts. And
Yeah.
what was your experience like at your first annual conference?
So I had no idea what to expect going in. And so I kind of was just open to whatever it was. And so when I got there and the first day got to go into the convention center, which by the way, the convention center alone was like mind blowing. That place is humongous.
Yeah, you
Uh,
get lost in it.
oh my God, it was so big. So, and the bear that was outside was really cool. But anyways, and I never even had been in Colorado before. So the whole thing was awesome. But getting to go pick up our swag bag. And I'm like, what in the heck? This is so amazing being able to just get all of this the day one. And then the general sessions that we would have, the opening was so cool with having all of the cheerleaders and the mascot come in at the very end. Like, there were a lot of unexpected things that happened while I was there that was like, this is the coolest thing that I've ever been. I don't like thrive in a conference anyway. I always have. I love a conference. But I just think that you guys put on such a great conference. It was very well organized, put together. I saw Krista running around the entire time. I know she was probably so exhausted by the time this thing was. I'm sure you all were, but she was just running. And I thought that, but like you could just see all of the work that went into this and that you guys truly cared about it being a good event for people. Um, I loved the first night when we got to go to the bowling alley and you guys rented out that whole space and everyone got to come together and just meet and mingle. And that night I don't know what got into me, but I challenged this guy who sat down next to us. He kind of was like mopey and he's like, I hate this kind of thing. He was one of the vendors. And so I was like, okay, how many business cards do you have on you right now? And he was like, I don't know, like 15. I said, all right, we're doing a speed networking challenge. So I said, I'll have 15 cards too. The first to run out of 15 business cards first wins. And he was like, all right, bring it on. So then we go around this place, like speed networking with all these people. And he was like, that was the best thing I've ever done. He was like, I just met so many people so quick. Thank you so much for challenging me. I'm like, I don't even know where that came from, but it actually was kind of genius. So then for the rest of the time, I like was running into all these people that I was speed networking with on the first night. and they remembered me. And he the whole time was like, thank you again. I met so many people. I'm having so much more fun now because I was able to talk to all these people. And so that was just really cool. I loved having like going in, seeing all the vendors walking around, getting all of their tchotchkes. But something really cool that I have gotten out of that. I just had a conversation last week with Ann Bonnie, who was one of the keynote speakers that came, which I loved her whole speech, which was interesting because her whole thing is get out of your comfort zone and mine is cultivate your comfort zone. And she asked me what my speech is about. And I was like, you're going to probably hate me for this. I told her and just like, I actually love it. I think that it's something that people aren't talking about. She's like, you are thriving in a credit union space and you can share that with so many people. And so, but to be able to like have a one-on-one conversation with her and pick her brain and see where she came from and just hear the cool things that she had to say, it was just really cool being able to connect after the conference with her in that way. But overall, it was so fun. It was so well put together. And I really hope to be able to go to the next one.
No, I mean, go, Justin, please.
I just feel like we can't not address that she did speed dating, but for networking.
It was amazing.
So we just we got to have a power pairings type thing going on. Like we gotta have this. Like we're just gonna have Allie's just gonna do it.
Yeah, no. So people saw it happening. Because we were sitting, my friend and I, like I came with, we were pretending that we were buying everyone's drinks, but we weren't because they were already paid for. But we were pretending, but we didn't get up from where we were sitting because it was the best way to meet people. So then the guy came up and then we did this, but then people are seeing this happen and they're coming up to me and they're like, what are you guys doing? Can I get in on this? Can I do this? And I was like, yeah, come on, everyone's doing it. And it turned out to be so fun. So I think it actually was kind of like a genius thing that happened.
That's good. I think that type of experience, that type of connection is what we always hope for at any of our events, but especially annual. And by the way, thank you for the kind words that you said about, the event.
Yeah.
So I of course, you said you hope to go back to the next one. I mean, will you be in Vegas this year?
I want to. I hope I will. I hope my company will let me come.
All right. Well, good. Yes. At least there's the desire to come back. It's on my list. Yeah. Good. Let's keep that. Let's hold that. Let's hold that budget just for you to come to annual.
Thank you. I would love that.
Now, all right. So obviously annual conference, what, and you kind of answer the next question, some of your favorite moments, but the one question I have about annual, and I kind of ask it to a lot of people, what was the one thing you didn't expect to learn that you ended up learning at that conference? Because, yes, the annual conference is really, we want to provide everyone with a good experience, but ultimately we are an education-based association. So we want to make sure that we educate people, first and foremost. So
yeah,
what was the one thing that you would say, hey, that's such a brilliant idea. I'm going to take that back and I'm going to use it every day, or I'm going to make this change or implement this or something? Like, was there one thing that jumped out?
Yeah, I think that, so going back to Ann Bonnie and her speech, one of her like main line in her thing is punch it, Margaret. That's what she talked about a lot in her speech. And so I'm a very, like, if I hear a line, like if I hear a line that's like, go get them, then that sticks with me so much.
Stay out of the way. If you're, hey, Margaret, stay out of the way. She's coming swinging. That's right.
So I think that's been really cool. Something that I learned that I didn't know, which this is probably going to sound so stupid coming from a mortgage loan officer, but I never knew FICO itself was a company. Like, I thought that was just the name of
the standard,
the credit score. Like, I didn't know that was a company, which I I guess I should have known. But I ended up sitting right next to their main guy at dinner one night and found out all of the things. So that was so interesting.
All of the things. I love it.
But I was just like, who knew? I had no idea. But I probably sounded so stupid.
Sorry. So you probably sat next to Devin.
Devin, yes.
Devin Morales, yeah. Yeah, one good guy. So yeah, I mean, yes, they are a separate company. Yes, they set the standard for everything that we pretty much do in our industry. But good. I'm glad you at least made that connection and with Devin and got that. Anything else?
As far as learning things or new things that I implemented that I took back with me, as far as like lending goes, I think again, like just the excitement around the fact that I'm at a credit union and seeing how big that world is and seeing how excited the different credit unions that came and how many credit unions there are that were represented and just what that world can look like. I think that was just like my overall takeaway is like, this is way bigger than I thought it was. Like, there's so much opportunity here, and everyone's so excited about it. And the friendliness of people that work at a credit union, I thought was next level. Like, there was never a moment where I felt like there was like cattiness or like bad attitudes or people being mean to each other. And it just seemed like a very happy group of people that were all happy to be there. And I think that was just so cool.
Yeah, I go to a lot of conferences, some credit union side, some not. And I'm glad you picked up on that because it's something that I think we really focus on is that collaboration, that camaraderie, making sure that it's a safe place for people to share ideas and really just be themselves.
Yeah.
And you definitely see that at our events more so than anywhere else. And so I'm glad you experienced that. I'm glad you witnessed that. Now, obviously, you were there at our annual conference because you were one of our ACUMAx presenters. And so, for those who do not know, for those that missed it, ACUMAx, this was the first time we've ever done ACUMAx on an event. And really, it's our take on what a TEDx is, a 10-minute presentation, a 10-minute idea where you have these people who have, these stories that they just want to tell, want to share, get up on stage and present this idea, this theory, their story, whatever you want to frame it up as. They're out there for the first time sharing this idea. And you were one of them. You were one of 6 that was selected out of well over 40 people who applied. So 1, congratulations. But 2, it was one of the first times that you were ever on stage in front of a group that large, right?
Yeah.
So, a couple questions. So what was that experience like preparing for ACUMAx?
Yes, I am so thankful to have been chosen to be part of that. And just alone, the participants, the 6 of us, getting to meet those people and to collaborate with them and first have a Zoom call and then get to meet them in person and just all the different personalities of everyone. And a lot of them travel around doing this or train, and they're completely like, this is just what I do. And I felt very much out of my comfort zone in that moment of being up there compared to a lot of them. But I was so motivated by everyone's different look or like outlook on where they were coming from or what their speech looked like. And everyone's was so different, but it was all kind of along the same lines of like motivating. And this is, where this is where you can get to, or this is what you do to get to this point, or like that was kind of the main theme, I feel, of everyone's speech, but all in a different way. And I thought that was really cool the way that you guys obviously chose us to be able to do that. But I was terrified. So I remember that the night before, basically that whole day, the day before we went because it was the last day, which I kind of wish it would have been the first day so I could have just gotten it over with because I was like freaking out the entire time. But so the day before, I barely ate anything. I was like not drinking. I went to bed at like 8 o'clock that night. I was like, I'm not, and this was a lot of the advice of Gaudier that told he's like, don't do these things. And so I had run through, anytime we had a break, I had gone to my room to run through my speech. I wanted to have it memorized. I didn't want to have to be looking at the notes. I just wanted to be very confident in presenting my speech. And so that next morning we had to be there bright and early. And I remember showing up in this outfit that I thought was going to be so good. And Krista calls me back and she's like, your jacket is not going to work because it was making weird lines on the screen. And I was like, like, I don't know what to do. I didn't friggin' option B. So I just took the jacket off. I just did a black t-shirt and she's like, that'll be fine. I'm like, we're going with it. This is what's happening. So right away, I'm like freaking out because of my clothes choice. And then we randomly selected who goes. And of course I got chosen to go first, which when you're calling the names, I'm like, not first, not first, not. And then you're like, Allie Hager. No. But it actually was kind of nice to get it over with. But I remember sitting there before I went up and my mouth was so dry right before I got onto stage. And I was terrified that I was like not going to remember any of my lines and it was going to go terribly, terribly wrong. But all in all, it went great. I remembered the entire thing. And now I'm doing it all the time. So you get through hard situations and you get really terrified. And I always get a little scared right before, but then once I'm up there, I'm already in it. So I just have to make it happen. But all in all, it's such a great experience.
Good. So, I mean, you already answered the next question, which was, would you do it again? And the obvious answer is yes.
Yeah.
You would do it again. You have done it again, which I think is awesome. Now, if you could, for those that don't know, summarize, and you kind of sort of already did it, but summarize your presentation. And the second part of this is going to be, have you made any revisions to it, to that story, to your, I don't want to say delivery, but have you made any changes to your thoughts behind your presentation?
Yeah. So that presentation had to be 10 minutes long that we put together for ACUMAx. And the premise of mine is to grow where you're already rooted, where you know that you're going to do your best work and you don't need to break out into some other place to grow. You can grow where you're already rooted. And so my story of leaving the credit union, thinking that it was going to be this, like, I made it type of job, and then realizing it wasn't, and ultimately coming back to the credit union and being better for it. And so that was kind of my entire premise of my 10-minute speech. But now with new opportunities that I'm getting, I need to extend what that is. And so now it's extended to like a 45-minute presentation. And so it's along the same lines of growing where you're rooted, because I'm finding out in a lot of conversations that I'm having that we get so bogged down with hearing, get out of your comfort zone, get out of your comfort zone. Everywhere we turn, that's just like the narrative that we're hearing. And so people are really refreshed to hear me say, stay in your comfort zone, but don't become stagnant within it. So your comfort zone can be as stretchy as you want it to be, but you can cultivate it, and it doesn't have to be something that we're just throwing by the wayside. And so people are like, wait, that is actually the opposite of what everybody has been saying. And because of that, like, I think this message is going to spread far and wide because it's just different. And it actually is so motivational the way that you're presenting it. And so being able to share that with different people, and then just being able to extend the speech, and then also just adding in why technology matters, how credit unions are winning with realtors, just different things that, like, we're not in the 90s anymore in the credit union world. Like, we have transitioned into the new age, and these are the things that we need to do. And if we're doing these things, then we really put ourselves into a place of winning. And so that's been another thing that I've gotten to add into the speech, which people have been really interested in hearing. And so that's kind of like the premise of everything, but just getting to like work on that and add those things in is kind of what I've been working on lately.
That's awesome. That's awesome. All right, so we need to start transitioning to the second set. And I have a lot more questions, but unfortunately, we're approaching time. But so although we are approaching time, I will ask that last question, as I said I would in the very beginning. But what keeps you motivated? Obviously, a lot has changed in a year. And by the way, I went back and reviewed my notes. We recorded your podcast. Actually, we recorded it exactly a year ago.
Wow.
And we released it mid-February. So, it's been a year. So a lot has changed. Obviously, people changed. But going back to that initial question, the final question I always ask: what keeps you going? What keeps you motivated? What keeps you driving ahead? Has anything changed? Like, are you still the same person you were a year ago? Please, what keeps you going?
Yeah, I would say I'm very different today than I was a year ago when we spoke. When we spoke last time, I was just finding out about who ACUMA was. I was finding about when I was starting to just talk to Scott and see what he does and find out that there's so much that goes into what a credit union movement looks like. And so, but I was still very focused on just the lending part of being at a credit union. So I still am very motivated to be a very successful mortgage loan officer at a credit union. That is still something that I'm very focused on doing. But beyond that, now I'm very focused as well on spreading this message and getting to just get into this next chapter goal of just getting to public speak and travel and just meet all these people and just see what comes of this. And it's been so crazy seeing the traction that I'm already getting when I thought that it wouldn't even start happening until at least 2027. And so because of what's been going on now, I'm just like pedal to the metal, whatever comes, I'm in it. I'm already booking speaking engagements for this year, which is so crazy to me. And I just am so excited to see where all of this goes and what comes of it. And I can't wait to talk about this in 2027.
That's awesome. Congratulations.
Thanks.
All right. Well, really happy for you. But now it's time to transition to the second segment of our podcast. Now, in the second segment of our podcast, as you know, this is where we sometimes do trivia, we do Jeopardy, but today we're doing the most requested segment of dad jokes. So, as always, I ask you to come prepared, or ask our special guests to come prepared with 2 to 3 dad jokes. The third one's really there to just in case one of them bombs. But what we're going to do is you'll do your 2 dad jokes, Justin will do his 2 dad jokes, and I'll wrap up with my 2 dad jokes, and then we'll close out. Sound good?
Yes, sounds great.
All right, Allie, fire away. Please deliver your 2 dad jokes.
Oh my gosh, I apologize in advance for these.
No.
Okay.
No.
All right. So what band is best to see during the winter?
Coldplay.
Coldplay. Dang it. You knew it. Oh my gosh. All right.
Honestly, I think I just guessed.
Well, that was a great guess. All right. What do you call a cold cucumber?
Cold.
I don't know.
What?
A cucumber. That's so stupid.
That was good.
Oh my god.
All right, Justin, go.
All right. So I'm going to give you a New Year's one. So why should you put your New Year calendar in the freezer?
Why?
So you start the new year off in a cool way. Come on. It was pretty good.
It was good. It was good. All right,
It was
go.
okay. It wasn't the best. All right. And then I found a book called How to Solve 50% of Your Problems. I bought 2 of them.
All right, nice job. All right, why do birds fly south for the winter? It's too far to walk.
Too far to walk. That's a good one.
All right, have you heard about the restaurant they plan on building on the moon?
Is it far out?
Mm-mm. So far, the initial reviews are good food, but no atmosphere. All right.
I like that one.
Well, that wraps up dad jokes for this episode. Allie, thank you very much. Appreciate, getting to know you and seeing your career evolve over the last year. Really excited for you. And as always, thank you for being a guest on the pod.
Thank you so much. And let's just kill this year. I'm so excited to see what happens.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And Justin, thank you as always.
Of course, it was my pleasure.
And to close out, thank you again to Polygon Research for sponsoring today's episode. And to all of you, we know your time is valuable. Thank you for tuning in to the latest episode of ACUMA's On Point podcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Until next time, be well, my friends.
Thanks for listening. We'll see you next time at the ACUMA On Point podcast. If not already, be sure to subscribe and give us a 5-star rating. For more great episodes and information, be sure to visit us online at acuma.org. And to get the latest updates, head over to our LinkedIn page.